Question of the day. Again, because we've done this one recently, what is your favorite sequel, period? Could be Empire, could be anything like that. I dare say my favorite sequel now of all time is The Mandalorian, specifically Season 2, the finale. Chef's kiss, right? But we're talking about sequels as it relates to gaming today. Not second editions, not an expansion, a sequel, a true game that has elements of the first one, and then it's going off into the future, right? Like, Luke is going to train, and now he's found out that he can meet this guy on Dagobah called Yoda, right? You're like, well, that didn't happen in the first one. No, but the elements were there, and it set up the story. Sequel, right? Fun fact, Temple of Doom doesn't work because it's a prequel. Most people don't know that, but if you look at the timestamp, Temple of Doom happens before Raiders of the Lost Ark, which makes a lot of sense. But let's look today at a sequel of a game that is highly regarded by some as one of the best games of all time, albeit kind of ugly, the original. This is Castles of Tuscany, based on the system Castles of Burgundy, but it is a sequel, right? So Castles of Tuscany, what does it add? What does it change? What does it do? Does it stand on its own? Should you own it or Burgundy? That's not for this video. We'll do a comparison another time, but I will touch on that because it's been a long time since I've played Burgundy. Now, let's take a look at how Castles of Tuscany plays, and then we will go from there. Alright, so essentially this is Castles of Tuscany set up here. You'll notice that you get a player board with different reactions on it. I wouldn't say these are the actions, these are reactions on it. And you will take your tiles and put them on here. You have a set of tiles with your color. You're going to break them into 3 different columns. Have 7 each, and you're going to put them face down right here. Now this is important because you are going to seed the tiles that everyone else can use as well. So even though they're yours on the back, the front of them doesn't matter. Now there's a 2-sided tile right here that will start on one of your green spaces. You get an A, a B, and a C board. It's up to you how you want to put them as long as they share sides somewhat like this. You couldn't do something like this. I'm sorry, you couldn't do that. You'd have to share sides, and you can't do this either. Ideally, you're setting up positions to make 1s, 2s, and 3 sections, kind of like Castles of Burgundy. I won't refer to Burgundy too much from this point out because I don't want you to be dependent on those if you've never played it. But just know there are some similarities, seeing as this is kind of a sequel. You have a red scoring marker. Yes, I'm aware that's green. It goes on the red track. And then you have a white, green, whatever, green on green scoring marker right here. They'll start off the board and they'll go to 1 when you score. The red area is your permanent score. This is what wins you the game. The green is kind of a meter that gets you points on the red one. We will talk more about that in final thoughts. But essentially what's going to happen on your turn is you're going to take one of 3 actions. You're either going to draw cards up to the amount that you have available shown here. Now these bonus tiles will allow you to take more cards, etc. You can take 2 cards at the base. You can take a tile from the set of 8 tiles that are already over here. These are the ones that are going to have a neutral back, but these are tiles. Basically, it's the same tiles here. You're going to see these 8 tiles types here. You can take one of these tiles and set it here. This doesn't cost you anything, or you can spend your cards to pay for those tiles. Now the cards, they don't do anything except correspond to the colors of the tiles. This is gray, there's orange, there's blue, there's yellow. Now, in order to buy a tile from your area and put it onto your kingdom, you're going to need to pay 2 of the same color, or you can substitute any 2 cards to substitute 1 card. So it really is a lot of play there in how that works. And when you place it, you take the bonus. So for instance, if you take another green one, you will immediately take one out of this display over here and put it into your castle and take its bonus. So those are good, but there's only 3 of those. Red is going to allow you to get bonuses, which will allow you to get more cards, more spaces to put things, more marble or a granite, whatever it's called. We'll talk about that in a minute. More workers, and then again, more of these journey cards. Blue allows you to basically just take a wild space. Those are these. You can put it out there on your board, and it can substitute for a tile that you're trying to get that just won't show up, essentially. Greens score kind of persnickety in an area. They score 1 point per symbol not already in that area. So there are things like agriculture, grapes, olives, and grain or something like that. Gray is going to be this marble, stone, granite thing. It essentially is going to give you just a free action. You get one of these when you put a gray one out there, you can cash it in for a whole free action. This orange guy, or excuse me, we'll do yellow next. Yellow is just going to net you 3 cards. Now notice the symbol is different here versus here. This means anytime you would take cards, you'll get your bonuses however far they stretch out, assuming you've added some cards to it. Here, it's just a flat 3 cards no matter what. Orange, you're going to gain a worker. The workers are essentially going to allow you to cash in a worker for a card. Last but not least is the journey cards. Basically they're just flat bonus points. There's things like green power or green points, a worker, 2 cards. There are other ones that give you red points as well as cards as well. You're going to do this until someone empties their first column. The moment they empty their first column, that round will play out, and then what's going to happen is everyone will take their points on the green track, transfer that number to the red track. So let's say I'm at 10, well then I would move to 10. Now, the second time that happens, the same thing's going to happen. Wherever I am on this green track, so now I'm up to 25, that's how many points I'm going to get on the red track. So I'll move from 10 plus 25, I would go up to 35. You're going to do that 3 times. At the end of the game, there are a few more bonuses too, by the way, if you're the first one to finish areas, all of them. So if I finish all my yellows, I'll take this yellow bonus and flip it over. The other way to score points is if you fill in an area by itself, it's worth 1 point. So this is 1 green. This is a 3 yellow, and this is a 2 green. It's 1, 2, and they're 1, 3, and 6 points. That's how you play Castles of Tuscany. Really not a complicated game, but this area is where we're going to talk and really kind of dig into what we think about this game the most based on this area right here. That's Castles of Tuscany. First and foremost, it looks similar to Castles of Burgundy. So you're not winning art prizes, right? It's got the tiles, they look the same, the art's pretty basic, pretty similar, so you're not winning any prizes there. However, I do like the aesthetic of that round board in the middle with the 2 different tracks on it, right? So aesthetically, you don't walk past this game and go, what are you playing? I've got to play that. You go, oh, I've seen this system before. This looks like Castles of Burgundy. How is Castles of Tuscany? You kind of go, oh, versus whoa. That's an important distinction. So you're not winning any art prizes. However, the mechanics of the game, let's go through it. So the basic first part of the mechanics, the idea that you have this hand of cards and you can do actions based on, I can either take a tile and save it, I can spend my cards for the tile that I want to put in my area, or I can get more cards. I love that the cards are the main system, in my opinion. I love that you have more control because you can just use 2 cards in place of the one you don't have. It's easier to get what you don't have. I also really like adding those bonuses. So for instance, when you add a red cathedral place, you get a new bonus tile. So you might get up to having 4 cards drawn when you draw cards. Those little tweaks are fantastic. I love how you can take a tile for free and how you reserve it and then you spend it to get it onto the board. So you have to kind of make those choices of, well, I need that. I can't pay for it yet, but I will be able to in a minute. So let me grab it, sit it here. It almost sets you up for 3 turns because you essentially pull it, sit it, get the cards you need, and then put the cards out there, unless you can combo it some other way. So I like what each tile does, except for the light green. I'm not crazy about that. Light green is my least favorite of them. It is what it is. You just get points for what's not in that section already. So it's okay, but it's not my favorite. My favorite is the red, and just because of what they do. You get those bonuses. So I like the little journey cards at the bottom too. So I like the road or whatever it's called, but I like that. I just like how it plays. Now here's what I don't like. This game has a big asterisk for me. Playing the game, you go, oh, this is fun. I like the system. Scoring the game, it's a real problem for me because I feel like I'm going to take some flack for saying this. Well, Bryan, you should never get behind in the first place. What's wrong with you? No, that's not the problem. If you get behind in this game, you almost absolutely cannot catch up. You say, well, okay, what's the problem with that? Just do better. I get that. But if you're playing this game, which is a lighter entry level game of some sorts, it's that next level game, and you tell people who haven't played it before, oh, you're going to like this game, and you start ripping them a new one in the first round, and you have 15 on the green track, and they have 4, there's almost no recovery from that. And the problem with that is, since there's no recovery from that, you have to sit there for 2 more whole rounds going, well, I know I'm going to lose. This is just like, I'm just helping this person get more points. It becomes a real issue for me for that. So scoring is wonky as heck. So just know that going in. Now, here's the thing. Don't hear me say that you shouldn't get the game or like the game because of that. I want to put that asterisk out there that there is no catch-up mechanic and you have to play strategically, which leads into why some people may absolutely adore that about the game, because you have to play cutthroat. You have to make every single move matter, which really brings it back to the heart of a Stefan Feld game, correct? You have choices, and it looks innocuous, but one of them is better than the other two at the time, and you have to know how to navigate that. You have to know how to make the best choice to get what you need. So, I say all that to say this. I like Castles of Tuscany better than Castles of Burgundy. I like how this game plays. I actually like how it scores, but I don't love that if you get way behind, you're toast, and absolutely toast. You have to be mindful of that. You really need to warn people of that when you're teaching it too. This is something you should say, hey, look, you cannot afford to get behind. So here are ways to score points. Group your cities together and fill those in. Get that extra, 6 points or whatever it is for building the cities together. Make sure, not the cities, the provinces, whatever they're called. Make sure you're doing the things you need to do to get points. Don't focus on things that don't matter. You really need to teach that as you're teaching the game, or else you're going to have a table full of this. So make sure you do that. Okay, so all in all, game doesn't look great, but it plays great. I love the mechanics. I love how this one plays. Scoring's a bit tricky and wonky. So overall, 6.5 for me, but that's just because of that caveat. Other than that, it would be up there, but that caveat's a little hard for me and my group to get around. Now, your group may be different. You might love to slug it out in a vicious Euro-style game, and I love Euros, but this one's a little bit too tricky for getting behind for me, and maybe that's not your experience, but a good game, solid game, better than the original in my opinion. But that is Castles of Tuscany. I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dice Tower Bryan. Until next time, we will see you.